Grand Peace Online tier list video. Now this video is strictly for PVE fruits, which means player versus environment, I think. And I'm not going to try to make this intro very long, but I do want to say at the very start is I want to know your opinion on this tier list, and I want to also know your own tier list. So inside the comments, just feel free to comment your tier list when you're done with this video, or before you watch the video, whichever one you want. And another thing is that this tier list is strictly my opinion. My opinions are right, so it is basically a fact. Third thing to note is the link to this tier list maker will actually be inside the description. I did all the fruit PNGs myself and everything, so yeah. And the final thing is e-begging. Please like the video, please, please. There you go. It's different from me saying if you like the video, then like it. But outside of that, there's going to be timestamps at the bottom of this video, and I'm only going to be ranking the devil fruits that I feel like are actually worth farming with. So something like Suge or Kilo, I might not even put it on the tier list because I don't see any reason for me wasting time inside the video and explaining why it's a bad farming fruit. So with that out of the way, we're going to start off with Bari. Now Bari is a rare fruit, and Bari is, yeah, you don't want to farm a Bari. The thing with Bari is that you don't have any skills that will deal a lot of damage over time, or maybe even burn damage. It's just a PvP fruit, so Bari's going to go at the bottom, D tier. Alright, I just wanted to add a new tier called SS+. That's, to me, SS Plus is like the cream of the crop, the best you can get. The next fruit that we actually have is going to be Bomu. Now, Bomu is also a rare fruit, and I'm going to put Bomb inside of C tier. Bomb, it's not bad because you can actually do your explosion and it will do some pretty good damage. You know what? I'm going to put Bomb. Nah, I'm gonna leave Bomb at the top of C tier. It's not bad. I was farming the low raid with the Bomb, and he was able to constantly get like around 2k damage because with the stat cap raised, your damage actually increases too with your devil fruits. So Bomb actually does do pretty good damage, and I do like that for the fruit because, you know, you can just explode and actually get damage with the rare fruit. It's probably the only rare fruit that would actually be useful to grind, so I feel like C tier is a really good placement for it. Next, we have Goro, the first legendary Logia fruit on this tier list. And Goro, I'm going to be so honest with you, I want to put it below Bomb, but I'm not going to, only because you can do more damage with your skills than Bomb, and you just have more skills in general. But I'm going to put Goro at the back of B tier. It stays at the top for now, but trust me, Goro is going to be at the back of B tier. Goro, the only skill that you want to use during farming is, literally all your skills. But the issue with Goro is that you can't really put out a lot of damage with the fruit. Compared to any other legendaries that have multiple hitting skills, your highest hitting skill with Goro is going to be your lightning greeting, so like the gigantic orb that comes down from the sky. And I'm pretty sure that only hits around 5, 6, 7 times. But you're not going to get any credit for the factory raid or the Luffy raid if you do that inside a public server. So Goro, it's B tier all the way at the back. I'm honestly debating if I want to put Bomb over Goro because I am. I'm going to put Bomb in the top of B tier for now, and then I'm going to put Goro in C tier. So Goro C tier and Bomb is B tier. This is it for me now, because Goro's it's really not that good for farming. Only reason I'll put it above Bomb is because you have a flight, but the flight, it's not like you can, it moves fast, but it's not like you can do much inside of it. And when versus Bomb, you can just self-explode, drink a health potion, and then redo that again. The next fruit that we have to farming is actually going to be Gura, and I'm going to put Gura above Bomb for farming. Gura is actually very, very good. Let me not say very, very good. Gura's good for farming. You can do a lot of damage because with the stat cap increased and Gura naturally just being one of the most strongest devil fruits inside this game, if you put a lot of points into it, you can spam most of your skills like Earthshaker, the skill where you hold both of your hands up and you just do a ground crush. If you haven't used Gura before, then you wouldn't probably know what skills I'm talking about. But just know that Gura does do a lot of damage, and it's actually very easy to, I wouldn't say very easy, but you can get credit with Gura, because the skills, they don't have that much of a long cooldown, and they all guard break, so it's not like mobs could even block against it. Plus, it just does a lot of damage, which is probably the main point with Gura. And you also have your Tsunami. The next fruit that we have is going to be Hiei Hiei no Mi, and this is probably the one that I want to actually think about for the first time, I'm going to put Hiei at the back of A tier. I want to put it at the top of B tier, but the thing with Hiei is if you put a lot of your points into fruit, you can actually do very good damage. Now, the main thing I'm talking about for farming that you'll be using with Hiei is probably going to be your Ice Parison, so your E skill, and your Ice Stomp. And maybe your Blade, just maybe, but it's really just going to be you spamming Parison and using Ice Stomp. Because if you put a lot of points into Hiei, your Ice Stomp will actually do a really good amount of damage, like a very good amount of damage. I'm talking like 200 to 300 damage per Ice Stomp. In Parison, it doesn't have a cooldown basically, and it does around 50 damage last time I checked if you have a lot of points into Hiei. So spamming 50 damage every second with no cooldown, that would eventually add up. So I feel like A tier is pretty good for Hiei. You also have Ice Bike, so I guess you do have some sort of transportation in case you need to run from a boss. But I don't think anything, Hiei definitely is not going in S tier because it just doesn't have that. It doesn't have more consistent, reliable damaging output besides the Parison, and compare that to any other fruit that would literally be able to get you like number 1 on the factory raid or number 1 inside the Lucy raid. Hiei shouldn't even be, yeah, it does not be an S tier. Next fruit we have is Ito. I'm going to put Ito in front of Bari in D tier. Ito, yeah, don't eat this fruit for farming. This fruit is just for the PvP tryhards, even though it did get nerfed in that aspect too. But nerf for Ito also coming over to farming too, it just made it even worse for farming. Honestly, nah, it's still better than Bari, but the only thing that you have for farming with Ito is Birdcage, and that's like, what, 100 damage at most, so Ito sucks balls for farming. Big balls. Bouncy balls. Okay, and next is going to be Kage. Kage, I'm going to put it behind Goro for farming. I feel like Goro is really good as like a limiter for C tier. Like, you need to be better than Goro in farming to pass it, and Kage doesn't do that. So Kage for farming, the only skill that you probably would have is just Bat Tornado, and Bat Tornado does not do a lot of damage. The only good thing about Bat Tornado really is the fact that it's a barrage, and barrages typically do more damage because you're hitting for a very, very, very long time. So outside of that, with Kage, you don't really have anything. It doesn't have a lot of damage output. It's more so like a comboing type of fruit that's pretty good for PvP. But for farming, don't eat Kage. It's not going to get you any credit. It really probably won't get you credit at all. So yeah, don't eat Kage for farming. And next we have Magu. Now, people probably care about this ranking, so I'm gonna put more thought into it, but I'm going to say S tier for now. Magu, it did get nerfed with the cooldown nerf. I'm pretty sure that the cooldown for Magma Rain went from 45 seconds to 75 seconds, so that's an extra 30 seconds added to the cooldown. And not only that, I'm not sure if the damage scaling got nerfed or something with Magu, but whatever the buff and nerf is, I'll just have it up on the screen. But Magu, the reason why it's dropping from, I would say, SS plus before update 8 is just because of the cooldown nerfs and you not being able to compete with any of the other farming fruits. It's still an S tier fruit. Like, don't get me wrong, if you eat Magma, you can definitely get your credit, and for the law raid, you can definitely get top 3. That's what I would say. You can definitely get top 3 in the law raid with Magma. But if you're going for number 1, which is getting the legendary fruit chest from both of those events inside GPO, Magma might not be able to do that now. You could get lucky and do it still, but it's not going to be able to consistently get it for you, which is what you would want inside of the game. So Magma, the main reason why it's an S tier though is because of the burn damage, the damage output in general, and the fact that you can kind of spam the skills. Magma's also just reliable. It has a very good guard break with Magma Eruption, so if you're farming with your friends and they're like Pika and they're using Light Ray, you can easily use Eruption and guard break it for them. But outside of that, the problem with Magma is that you're just not going to be able to get number 1. And that's strictly the only problem. If you are not farming anything like the law raid or just boss it, well, no, because bosses don't matter, but if you're not farming the law raid or the Lucy raid trying to get legendary chest, Magma for farming is still really good. You will definitely get your credit with this fruit, and you can't go wrong if you eat it. So Magma is a very good fruit. I probably would recommend that you eat it because it's just a very good fruit. And next we have Mera. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to be eating this fruit, and some people might even base trading off this tier list with this fruit, but Mera for me, is definitely behind Magma, but does it belong in S tier? I don't know. The good thing about Mera is that it has low cooldowns, but the bad thing is that your damage output isn't like the highest. I'm gonna say Mera's the. I'm gonna put it in the back of S tier. The main thing I was pretty much arguing with inside my head for Mera is the burn damage. Like, I have to take the burn damage into effect. Mera's burn damage is the burn damage that lasts the most inside the game besides Tori. So the fact that you have that, and burn damage for Mera usually does like 21 per tick nowadays. It's like an extra, what, 200 damage added up, because Mera's burn damage ticks for very long, which makes sense because it's the flame fruit. So you have to add that extra 200 damage along with your skills being very spammable. Fireflies does like 20 damage, so 20 damage hitting like 20 times, that's 400 damage. So you can't really go wrong with Mera. You also have Pika, Flame Pillar. N-Guy's not really that good for farming because it only hits 5 times for like 70 damage. That's not a lot. But besides that, it's still good. When I say back of S tier, I mean back of S tier. Like if S tier requires 90, Mera is at 90 on the dot. So yeah, Mera's a good fruit for farming. You can eat it and you can still get credit and everything, which is what really matters. But you're not going to be able to get number 1 inside the factory raid. You're not going to be able to get number 1 inside the Lucy raid, and you're not going to get number 1 for both farming as well. You will get your credit though. And the next fruit that we have is going to be Mochi. This is also the first mythical fruit on the tier list, and I'm going to put Mochi at the... I'm going to put Mochi behind Hiei. I was going to place it in front of Hiei, but if you really think about Mochi for farming, the only thing that you have is, I'm pretty sure, chestnut Mochi or donut roll. Pretty much, I'm saying the Mochi skill where you just create a gigantic circle above your head and you shoot off little pins that do a lot of damage. My friend actually has Mochi and I farmed with him, and last night when we were farming, he said that his Mochi chestnut, I'm not sure the name of the skill, but the donut Mochi thing that shoots pins, he said that it did around 1,200 damage, which is pretty good. It doesn't have that long of a cooldown. The cooldown's decent. It is a barrage that does over 1,000 damage for farming. It's just that with Hiei, okay, I'm gonna put Mochi at the top of A tier, because the 1,000 damage barrage would definitely out damage Hiei, especially over time. The main reason why I put it behind Hiei is just because you could spam Parison, but the 1,000 damage on a barrage that has a decent cooldown, I'm pretty sure you would be able to out damage Hiei. So I'll put it at the top of A tier for now. You'll get your credit with Mochi, but it's not like you're not getting number 1 in anything. It's just reliable for farming. That's what I'll say. It's just a reliable fruit. And the next fruit that we have is actually going to be the new mythical fruit, or one of them, which is going to be Ope no Mi. Now, OP, I just watched a video to kind of get an idea of it, because I've never seen anyone farm with OP, and I'm just going to put it at I'm putting it behind Gura for farming. Now, the main reason as to why is because you really only have one skill, and that's going to be THAKS, and I'm pretty sure that's the one where you bring up all those rocks and you just throw them at your enemy. Now, the thing with OP is that it's just okay. I wouldn't really grind with this fruit for bosses and stuff. Could you possibly get credit with this fruit? Maybe, which is why I'm putting it in B tier. B tier is like the minimum allowed for you to get credit. But anything beyond that, no. You're not beating any of the factory raids at number 1 or the Luffy raid. And you're also not going to be at the top of the leaderboard when you get credit. I could see people getting their 5% with it though, because THAKS, if you just use that and you throw the rocks, and let's say that you have like 700 or 800 into your devil fruit, it will probably do around 400 to 500 damage. So that is pretty nice damage, and I'm pretty sure bosses have like 35,000 HP in general. So you should be able to use that skill a decent amount of times to actually get your credit. But besides that, Gamma Knife actually does take around, it takes 16% of your max HP, and it also does additional damage. So depending on how much HP the boss has, your Gamma Knife will actually do more damage. Now, it's not going to be a lot because you're not going to farm with OP with like 1000 into your Devil Fruit. So you're not going to be farming with max stats on OP because you do need health and stamina. But you can get your damage with the fruit, so I feel like B tier is a really safe place to put it. But will OP go anything above B tier? No. It's not even better than Gura for farming, I would say. Because Gura just dishes out more damage with shorter cooldowns. OP is still good for grinding though, but for just grinding perfectly, no, definitely not. The next fruit we have is going to be Niku no Mi, also Paw, one of my personal favorite fruits in GPO, and I'm going to put it at the back of C tier. Now, Paw, it's not good for grinding, straight up, it's just not. Your only barrage skill is Paw Barrage, and that did 10 damage before update 8, so now with more points to put into your fruit, it'll probably do 12 damage. So you're not going to be doing a lot of damage with your Paw Barrage, it's not made for that. And the only skill that you really have for Paw for grinding is going to be your ultimate attack, which just isn't reliable at all. Like, let's say you have, what, 3000 HP, the boss brings you down to 20, and then you decide to do your Paw Ultimate. I could see your Paw Ultimate doing like 700, 800, 900 damage, but it's not going to be consistent, and you're not going to be landing this skill like every 10 seconds, which is what you would need for grinding. A skill that has a low cooldown and is able to do a lot of damage. Paw is not going to be able to do that, so that's why the fruit's at the back of C tier. It's just not that good for grinding. And now we have the king of grinding fruits, the fruit that's inside the trade market at a very, very high price right now. As I'm recording this video, you can trade Pika for a lot of things in GPO right now, a lot. Pika is SS+. I feel like I don't even need to explain it. I am a Pika user for grinding, and I'm always either number 2, number 3, or number 1 for factory raids. I always average like around 15% or 20% of my credit, and it's just like, it's the number 1 fruit for a reason. It's crazy inside the trade market for a reason. This fruit has been a staple since it released for farming, and it probably will never drop from that. So I'll just list off all the benefits because there's not really any negatives to Pika. You have light flight, so you can fly very fast. Light kick, with the new damage increase now, it does around 100 damage with only like a 14-second cooldown. And then you have light ray, which is one of the main things. My light ray hits for 83 times, and it does around 1,500 damage with my stats, and I only have like 650 into Pika. And then you also have Jewels of Light. Yo, on the factory raid, it hits, like, you can hit the full Jewels of Light, and it always does 2,000 damage overall. And I also forgot to note, Pika also does have burn damage. This fruit is the best fruit in my personal opinion for grinding. If you get this fruit for grinding, there's nothing better. There's actually nothing better, unless we're talking about one certain thing, and then we'll get to that fruit when that fruit eventually comes. But there really isn't anything better for grinding with Pika. You can't go wrong if you eat it. I recommend that you eat it, but I also don't recommend that you trade your soul to try and get it, because there's also another fruit that's able to get you consistent legendary chests or number 1 if you do want that. And I also want to note for this video, this is completely off topic, but Cyborg is also really good for grinding too, and I recently did do a video on Cyborg, so if you want to see that, feel free to go over and watch that video when you're done. Cyborg is very good for grinding. I can't add fighting styles to this, but if I could, I would put Cyborg here, and I would put it in A tier, because you have low cooldowns and you're also able to do a lot of damage with Cyborg. So if you want to see my Cyborg video, I'll do like that little information tab that pops up in the top right hand corner, and you can go watch that for yourself, because it was a pretty good video and I just want people to watch it. And if you like the video, feel free to like the video. Actually, back to the tier list now. The next fruit that we have is going to be Spring, and the only reason why I'm ranking it now is just because it's new, and I'm going to put Spring in front of Bari. Spring, it's just grabs, really, that's it. You just grab the boss, you're not doing any damage, you're not getting credit, it's just Spring, that's it. Now this Devil Fruit actually did have kind of like a resurgence inside the game, and this is personally my favorite Logia fruit ever released in GPO. It probably is my favorite fruit inside GPO, right in front of Paw, and this is going to be Suna. I really never thought I would do this, but Suna for grinding now, I'm going to put it an S tier in front of Mera. Now look, the only reason as to why I'm putting it in S tier in front of Mera is just for one thing. The main thing, or one of the main things FOYU dropped with this update, was the factory raid. And in the factory raid, if you're number 1 on the leaderboard, you're able to get a legendary chest. Currently with Suna, you can always guarantee a spot with number 1. And I'm talking about always. And the way to do it is Desert Spada. I feel like I don't want to say it on video, but a lot of other YouTubers said it. And there's no reason for FOYU to nerf it, because that's exactly how Desert Spada works. Desert Spada has been working like that for the longest. And the reason, okay, let me actually explain how it works first. So with Desert Spada, when you hit the factory, the thing about Spada is that it climbs over anything that is touching. So the thing with Spada is that it usually hits around, what, once or 2 times if you're lucky. It's just that the factory has such a huge hitbox, so that when you use Spada on it, you're hitting your whole entire Spada, which is doing around 1,300 damage minimum. And each Spada hit does around 50, so I think you can see as to why it's very crazy. Some people think people talking about it will get it nerfed, but that's how Suna has been the whole entire time. It's not a glitch, it's not a bug, it's just that the factory raid has a huge hitbox, and Spada is able to cover that huge hitbox. If FOYU nerfs it, then that's stupid, because he would technically need to be nerfing every other thing that hits stuff with a huge hitbox. Spada's not going to get nerfed for the factory raid, and it's just very good because you will probably always get number 1 with Spada. It has a 5-second cooldown, and it does over 1,000 damage. You can see why people make videos about it. Suna's probably the best thing for that, but outside of that, with Suna, you still would get your boss damage, but only reason why I'm putting Suna in S tier is because legendary chest. You're able to farm with a low tier legendary fruit, and have the possibility to also get Pika as well. Like, come on. Suna, I feel like it deserves to be an S tier for farming now. And keep in mind, this video is being recorded around 3 to 4 days after Update 8 released. So if FOYU did nerf Spada in the future, which would be very dumb because that's the point of the skill that he's made since Update 4 when the fruit dropped, then Suna is definitely going to drop. But currently, Suna is a very good fruit. I would eat it, it's just that I need to continue making videos and different stuff first. But I do recommend that you eat Suna if you strictly just want number 1 inside the factory raid. Moving on to the next thing inside this video, the next thing we have is actually going to be Tori. And I've been waiting to do this. I don't like this fruit. I really don't like it. And I was one of the people who ate it recently. But Tori, I'm going to put it at the top. I'm going to put Tori in A tier for farming. Now, if you ask, like, if I made this video 2 days ago, I would put it in B tier. However, I have a friend who has Tori, and not only is it reliable for healing if you have a bomb friend, but you can also get a lot of credit with Tori. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you have Phoenix Burst, and that's pretty much it. If you put a lot of points into your Tori and you use Phoenix Burst, you can actually get credit very, very easily. Because your Phoenix Burst in full form, it does around, like, what? Each burst probably does around 150 damage if you have a lot of points into Tori, and you're hitting off 3 of those. And Phoenix Burst does not have a long cooldown, so I think you can see as to why that's very good. The only downside with Tori is the fact that you need to fill up your mode bar to use it. Now, I'm pretty sure Tori's mode bar lasts for a full minute and 30 seconds, so you can definitely get your credit within that minute and 30 seconds while using Phoenix Burst and maybe even Phoenix Brand. But that's really it. You also can get credit on Factory. You're not going to beat Factory, but it's nice. I don't know if I want to put it above Hiei. I am going to put it above Hiei. Tori's just, it's nice for farming. You can actually get credit with it, and I feel like that's what matters at the end of the day. So Tori is just like the middle of A tier for farming. It's nice. It's nice. The next fruit we have is also the only other new mythical fruit this update, which is Venom. One of my also favorite fruits inside the game that I don't have. And Venom is also an SS plus tier fruit, and I don't think Venom is better than Pika. For the factory raid, fuck it. I'm gonna put Venom in front of Pika. And now, I feel like I should say this for SS plus. Pika and Venom, when I say I'm 50-50 on both of them being at number 1, I can't choose. I really can't choose, but I think that also just goes to show which fruit is better. Now, only reason I'm gonna put Venom in front of Pika is just because I like Venom more. If you say I feel like Pika's number one, I would agree with you. If you say Venom's number one, I would also agree with you. They're both the best fruits in the game for farming. And let me actually start talking about Venom. So Venom, you just, like, it's just really good. I was fighting a Venom runner inside PvP, and I'll actually put that footage up on the screen right now. He had a Devil Fruit spam build with Venom, and he was just running. Now the thing is, his Venom Spit did 107 damage with 30 tick poison damage, and poison damage lasts for a very long time. And Venom Spit also has no cooldown. So, I think you know where I'm going with this. Imagine constantly spamming a 107 damage skill with no cooldown that also does poison damage. You would always get credit, and you're probably also going to be number one if you eat Venom. And I feel like that's why I've seen the argument for being above Pika. I really do like hearing, like, Venom being at number one sounds more realistic to me than Pika, only because of how long poison damage lasts, and the fact that it just does so much damage. The poison spit also guard breaks, and keep in mind, I didn't even talk about the fact that you can transform into a Venom demon and use an aura skill that also does poison damage naturally over time. If you eat Venom for the Coliseum raid with Luffy, if you beat it, you will always be number one unless there's another Venom right near you. You will always be number one inside the Coliseum raid for Luffy. You will most likely be number one or two for the factory raid with Law, but Venom, it's just very good. You can't go wrong with this fruit for farming. There's no downsides at all for farming. Not a single downside for Venom for farming. Eat this fruit, you win. And that's pretty much all you need to know about Venom on this tier list. Now the next fruit we have is going to be Yami and the Darkness fruit. This fruit is putting it right here at the third point of B tier. Actually no, I'm putting Yami behind Bomb. I'm putting Yami at the top of C tier. Yami, you're not gonna get credit with it. You're not. Yami's damage scaling is bad. I've even done a full video review on Yami, and it's not a farming fruit. It's literally not a farming fruit. It's one of those fruits that's made for PvP. And judging from the bottom of this tier list, as you can see, fruits that are really made for PvP only excel in PvP. Next fruit we have is actually going to be Yomi. And Yomi is going to go at the top of D tier right in front of Ito. It's kind of the same thing with Yami. Don't eat Yomi for farming. Don't. Only thing that's good for Yomi with farming is maybe your ultimate Soul King's Roar. But that's it. And that's not even going to get you credit. So what else do you really need to hear? Don't eat Yomi for farming. It sucks. It literally does suck for farming. Next fruit that we have is going to be Zushi. One of my old favorite fruits until people started abusing it to me inside Arena. Zushi is okay. It's okay enough to be at the back of B tier. And the reason as to why I'm putting it at the back of B tier is because you will probably, and when I say probably, I mean probably get credit with Zushi. So having to gamble on if you're gonna get credit or not is not really the best thing. Plus with Zushi, your skills do a lot of knockback. So yeah, and the only skill that you really want to use for farming is going to be your Meteor. Now your Meteor does do around 100 damage and it can guard break. And you also do have your Meteor ults, which all guard break can do around like 80 damage per hit. Summons like 8 Meteors. You'll probably get your damage, but that's it. If you want to gamble on getting your damage, eat Zushi. There you go, that's your favorite fruit to gamble on if you want to get your damage for farming. But outside of that, Zushi, nah, I wouldn't eat it for farming. That's why it's at the back of B tier, like literally the minimum passing grade to actually get your damage to me. And the next devil fruit that we have for farming is actually Yuki. And I'm going to put this fruit, it's definitely S tier, but is it better than Mera is the real question. I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I'll put Yuki in front of Mera for farming. People probably aren't going to like this, but Mera for farming, it's not the best anymore. Like, it's really not. And when I say farming, I'm not even thinking about dungeon mode. I doubt anybody even plays dungeon mode. I don't know why you would. Actually, I don't know why you would play dungeon mode. But Yuki for farming, you will guarantee get your credit, but you're not going to be getting number one. or number 2, or maybe even number 3. Maybe number 3, but yeah, Yuki for farming, you just have the turret, you have a lot of barrages too, and you also have Blizzard. It's just that the main issue with Yuki is that it doesn't do burn damage, and burn damage is a really good factor for farming because it does add up to a lot over time. So I'm kind of confused on if I want to put Yuki in front of Mera or Mera in front of Yuki, because I can see the argument for Mera with burn damage, but I can also see Yuki having shorter cooldowns, and your turret, which also scales a lot, you can get off a lot of damage with Yuki. So me personally, I'm gonna put Yuki in front of Mera for farming. Mera's still really good for farming, like, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Yuki's slightly, and when I say slightly, I mean the minimum amount better for farming. And leading us on to the official last fruit for this tier list is going to be Gomu, and I'm talking about Gear 2nd Gomu as well, and this fruit's going to go right behind Goro for farming. Gomu is not a farming fruit. It's not. That's all you need to know. Gear 2nd is not a farming tool. That's also all you need to know. Don't eat Gomu for farming. Please, please don't. Just don't. The barrage is not going to carry you. And this right here is going to be the official tier list. Now, like I said at the start, I'm not going to put everything on this tier list, but just for the sake of aesthetic purposes, I'm going to put everything else that I think doesn't deserve to be on this tier list on this tier list. And here is the tier list for that. Now, there's a second Tori image down here, but I just accidentally added 2 Tori images, so act like this Tori doesn't even matter. But this is my official tier list. We have Venom and Pika in SS+, Magu, Suna, Yuki, and Mera in S. A tier consists of Mochi, Tori, Hiei. B tier is Gura, OP, Venom, and Gura, OP, Bomb, and Zushi. C tier is Yami, Goro, Gomu, Kage, and Paw. And D tier is Yomi, Ito, Spring, and Bari. And then we have the Don't Use tier, which has Horo, Heal, Kilo, Spin, Miro, and Suke. Honestly, I think this tier list is pretty accurate. Now, people probably gonna argue with my S tier, and I can see why. People probably won't like Suna being up here. They also probably won't like Mera being that far back. But I feel like there's an argument for both Suna and Yuki being in front. You're not gonna get number 1 with Mera for anything. But the fact that Suna can get you number 1 and can get you legendary chest is a very big fact. It's just really good. Now, like I said, this video is being recorded around 4 days after Update 8 came out. If OU does nerf Suna, which will literally be one of the dumbest things ever, because the point of Sparta is to go around buildings and things like that, it'll be very dumb if he nerfs the fruit. But if he does, Suna will definitely drop. However, at the time of recording this video, it isn't, and this is my official final tier list. Like I said at the start, I want to see your own tier list, and I want to see your takes on this. And I also want to promote this. My next video or next tier list is going to be a PvP tier list. So for all the PvP heads who watch my videos, I will do a PvP tier list, which will probably be longer than this video, because PvP is much more important to me than PvE. And PvE, it's really easy to tell what's going to be at the top. Watching this video, you probably expected to see all these fruits at the top. So yeah, next video is going to be a PvP tier list. So if you want to see that, like and subscribe and just stick around for it. And I also want to do a video on revamped Gura. I'm also going to continue saying revamped for titles because it's technically revamped because it's new. But yeah, hopefully you did enjoy this video. Comment your own opinion in your own tier list, and I may possibly do a review video where I rate the community's tier list. So a tier list video where I'm rating y'all tier list and just ranking it for you guys on a video. So outside of that, hopefully you did enjoy this video. Like I said, PvP tier list next, and I do appreciate all the support on my channel recently. I'm also going to start streaming more, so if you want to see that, tune in. But enough internet begging. Thank you for watching this video finally, and I hope you do have a good day.